I am Marcella Dominguez. I'm a trademark lawyer that helps small and medium-sized companies protect their brands online and also offline. So for most people, that means answering a lot of questions about company names, logos, slogans, taglines, and how to actually protect those before you have a registered trademark and also after you have a registered trademark.
Here are instances when someone will try to apply for the trademark on their own, then they find out that they've done something correctly. So what are some common mistakes that you often see when people are like, they come to you mid trademark process, like, hey, I messed this up. Can you please help me, Marcella?
Oh gosh, those can be like a number of issues. It could be as simple as like a disclaimer issue, and it could be more complicated, like a confusion issue, something we were just talking about right now. If you didn't do a search, or even if you did do a search, but you didn't realize that there was like a needle in a haystack there of somebody who had a confusingly similar name to yours, and you registered anyways, then that's going to be the most difficult issue for you to overcome. And at that point, you would need to hire a lawyer because they're going to have to submit arguments that are backed by case law to convince the examiner of why you deserve to be registered. And I don't think that's something that the layperson is interested in, or that they actually know how to do case law research. So I think it's situations like that, you know, likelihood of confusion, entity is a big one. So lots of people on an application will indicate that they want the business to own the trademark, but yet they don't actually have a formal LLC or a formal S corp, but they think of themselves as a business, so they'll put their business name.
So putting your business name as opposed to putting your LLC, or in Canada, your incorporated business.
Yeah.
What's the difference there? What are the implications there?
So it's okay to have your business own it, but you have to make sure that you actually have a business established. Whether it's in the US or Canada or whatever, it's fine. But you need to make sure that it's actually established and not just that you're calling yourself a business. If you list the owner as Marcella's Law Firm, but then down below you select individual, well, then that's inconsistent because the individual is Marcella Dominguez. The individual is not the law firm of Marcella Dominguez. Or sometimes they'll do it the other way around where they will list their personal name, but then they'll pick it as an LLC. So that creates problems down the road for the trademark office because they'll ask you, okay, who actually owns this? You're confused. And so you're actually telling the trademark office that you were confused because you don't really know who you are and who's owning this application. So they might make you assign your application to your business if you do it incorrectly. And then that's a whole nother animal because then you have to ask yourself, do I know how to do that? And now I really have to hire an attorney. Yeah, so that's why it's important to make sure you know what you're doing at each step of the process.
So Liz asked if there is a trademark website we can use to do our search.
Yes. So you can go to the Trademark Electronic Search System. It's a lot of words to type out. You can type out TESS and trademark, and it should populate the website. So it's the Trademark Electronic Search System. Or you can go to uspto.gov, but then you're going to have to navigate through some links to find the Trademark Electronic Search System.
Got you. So it's best to just Google TESS and trademark. Emily asked if it is registered as a sole proprietorship rather than a corporation. Is that the same thing, or does it have to be incorporated?
I would need to know like what the actual entity that she's established is, because incorporated is not the same type of entity as a sole proprietor. A sole proprietor has no entity at all. At least the way we refer to it here in Texas and in the United States, a sole proprietor is just an individual who's operating as a business, but they haven't actually formed an entity. So no, a sole proprietor is not the same thing as an incorporated business. Have you actually filed the paperwork, or your lawyer, have they filed the paperwork to establish you as an incorporated business? With a sole proprietor, there are no documents. There is no paperwork. So those are the intricacies that I'm talking about that you need to be clear on before you input the information into the application.
I just have a quick question. When do you know when to incorporate your business? Because I know at the beginning, like, I don't know, you may have slow sales and, you know, there's always the up and down in business. Some people may not know if they want to continue. I've heard people say you should incorporate it after you make a certain amount of money or revenue, I should say. So in your opinion, when should you incorporate your business?
Let me ask you this. Do you want to wait until you're caught in the rain to have an umbrella, or would you rather have an umbrella on standby?
An umbrella on standby.
It's kind of the same thing. You don't want to wait until you're sued and realize that your personal assets are on the line before you realize, holy crap, I should have had a legal shield around me. And so that entity forms that shield around you where nobody's going to be able to take your personal assets. And it's a little too late to form it once your personal assets are being attacked in a lawsuit. So whenever you're ready to have your umbrella on standby is a good time to start. And that should be as soon as possible.
Okay, Candy had asked, what's the difference between a trademark and a copyright?
That's a great question also. So the copyright protects like the inherent design of something, whereas trademark protects the identity. So I know it sounds so similar. They're like relatives of each other. So with a copyright, you're going to be able to protect like anything that's manifested in a creative form. So like the lyrics to a song. And you don't need by the way, you don't need to register the copyright in order to have a copyright in those things, which is different than trademark law. So anyways, like if you write a book, that has a copyright. If you draw a painting, that has a copyright attached. But the reason you choose to register the copyright is because, again, for leverage purposes. You're not going to be able to sue somebody in federal court if they infringe on your copyright. You're not going to be able to sue anybody for trademark infringement in federal court either if you don't have a registered trademark. So to answer the question, the trademark protects the logo, but you're not necessarily protecting the design in and of itself as you would with the copyright. You're protecting the contents, whereas the trademark is not the contents. It's more the identity of the brand.
God, explained that so well. Thank you. Jimmy had asked, when should a business establish a terms and conditions or privacy policy?
Right away. Whenever you have a website, that's also really important too. Internet laws are slow moving, but I think in recent times they're becoming more fast paced because they're realizing that there are more and more online businesses. But yeah, as soon as you can, because there are federal laws that you have to follow for how people interact with your website. And so you as the online business owner need to be aware of what those laws are and then implement those terms and conditions and have a privacy policy. Definitely, like no doubt about it.
One last question from Elle. She asked, do you need to trademark a business if you're using a host agency?
They kind of give you the ability to be your own entrepreneur within their structure. When it's something like that, the first thing that comes to mind is you need to be clear on because I'm sure they made you sign a contract initially when you became either their representative or their contractor, or when they gave you some kind of licensed rights to be able to use their umbrella company name. So the first thing that comes to mind is you need to refer to that document and see what it says about intellectual property. Are you able to use their name? Are you able to use their name in conjunction with your name? And based on what that says, you might have the ability to go and trademark your own brand. So realtors is a good example. Ultimately they work for a broker, right? But then if they establish their own brand, I helped a client who helps first-time home buyers. And so he started a brand called A Better Me. So in that situation, yeah, despite the fact that he works for a broker, he's able to go out and brand himself and create a business under that umbrella. But there would be different instances, maybe like a Zumba instructor. A Zumba instructor probably can't go out and register a trademark. Zumba instructor, salsa dancing, or best salsa dancer, or whatever they're salsa dancing with Zumba. Like they probably have rules about not being able to use Zumba in their own brand. So that's what I mean is you need to be clear on what your relationship is with that umbrella company and how much you're able to go out and do yourself.
So the last question is, do you think an LLC is the best route for a small business owner, specifically a boutique or e-commerce brand?
Yes. And I love that question because even when I started my law firm, I was like, what should I do here? Should I form like an S Corp? Should I be an LLC? Ultimately, for me, it was a PLLC. When you're starting, I think that LLC is just the easiest entity to understand. And it's also the most common entity. The reason that you would do like an S Corp or C Corp is mainly for tax reasons. You know, there's some benefits in terms of taxation that you could acquire from having a corporation as an entity. And that's something that you would talk to your accountant about. Somebody who is familiar with establishing these types of corporations for the purpose of tax savings, because they will be the ones who can answer the questions about tax saving strategies as it relates to forming these corporate entities. So an LLC, yes, it's fine to start. When you grow your business, you have employees, then yes, you should think about possibly a corporation if it's going to save you some money.
I think that sums up all of our questions. I want to say thank you so much for hopping into the society to shed some of your gems with us. This was very informative, very educational and insightful as well. So thank you, Marcella, for joining us.
You're welcome. And I just have to say, I applaud every single one of you for being on an entrepreneurial journey and for being your badass selves, because the world needs more females doing that.
Oh, I agree. All right. Thank you so much. And good night, ladies.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.